In any case, chapter 17 and verse 18. There was a danger of initiating worship of foreign gods, which is what is said about Paul here. I mean, he's already been said to be proclaiming Jewish customs that don't fit Roman customs in chapter 16, verses 20 and 21. Accused of speaking of another king besides Caesar in chapter 17 and verse 7. Well, here in 17:18, people are accusing him of initiating the worship of foreign gods. Although here it's educated philosophers who are engaging in lively discussion. It's not so much a legal charge yet. But it was a potentially dangerous charge. In the 5th century BC, a priestess in Athens was, according to Josephus, stoned to death for such a charge. But it is especially an allusion to Socrates. The main charge against Socrates was that he was preaching new foreign deities. You find that all over the place in ancient literature. And then Socrates was hauled before the leading council of Athens, which was the Areopagus, before which Paul is going to be hauled in the next verse. So Luke may be portraying Paul as something like a new Socrates. Athens, you didn't listen to Socrates, you better listen to this one. Just like Paul is going to, usually Acts portrays him as speaking in the mantle of the prophets and following in the footsteps of Jesus, who was the ultimate of the prophets. So it's especially an allusion to Socrates. And Luke may be having some fun at these philosophers' expense, just like he did at the expense of the church in Acts chapter 12. You've got kind of a joke that makes fun of these philosophers' intelligence, or intelligence and where it matters, the truth about God, where it matters the most, I should say. Because they say that this man is a spermologos. That was a term, literally it meant birds that would go pecking up grain around the marketplace. But it came to be applied to men who would pick up odds and ends in the marketplace. And finally it was applied, is pointed out a long time ago by Lake and Cadbury, finally it was applied to worthless people. People who just, they didn't really know anything, but they sounded like they knew something because they could quote this and they could quote that. Paul isn't going to have the range of knowledge of quotation of philosophers that they can, of their respective schools. Stoics wouldn't know a whole lot about Epicureans and vice versa, except for the criticisms of each other. But in any case, some of them say this is a spermologos, and he's introducing foreign gods. Well, Paul's audience includes people from both Epicureans and Stoics at this point that he's dialoguing with in the marketplace. And this idea of introducing foreign gods, notice they use the plural, because Paul has been preaching to them, Luke says, Jesus and Anastasis. Anastasis means resurrection, but it was also a woman's name in Greek. So, okay, he's one of these people. He's blending the male deities into one and blending the female deities into another. They don't understand what Paul is saying, even though he's trying to contextualize for them. And so they're willing to pontificate, and yet they miss the point. And we have a lot of people who do that today, who don't even understand Christianity, or real Christianity. They don't understand the gospel. They don't understand the biblical text, but they're willing to mock it. But probably not everybody's mocking Paul equally. Some may be listening to him more. Paul is going to end up dividing and conquering among his hearers, just the same way he does in Acts 23:6 with the Pharisees and the Sadducees. And he gets the Pharisees, there's nothing wrong with this guy. He's just preaching the resurrection. And what if an angel or a spirit has spoken to him? I mean, we may not believe that Jesus rose from the dead, but we may believe that he's an angel or a spirit now, and that he spoke to him about the resurrection. And so, the Pharisees and the Sadducees go at it there. Well, Paul's going to divide his audience a little bit here as well when they take him before the court.